Can you see the presentation?
No, madam.
No, ma'am.
Why it is happening again and again? We teach in class, so now, okay. Now we are moving on to cooperatives in rural development. What do you understand by cooperatives in rural areas? What do they work for? Any one of you?
Basically, basically, cooperative society is a local organization which is made by people for the people, and it is one of the funding agency for the agricultural activities.
Yes. Very nice. Anyone else? Only विलास answers. लगता है सिर्फ विलास पर के आते हैं. किसके किसके एग्जाम है दिसंबर में? I want answers from them. Anyone? No one is there to judge you. कुछ भी बोल सकते हो आप. Just participate. Okay, fine. Cooperative, as said by Vilas, is the for the people and by the people of rural areas only. Formed to provide financial assistance to its members. The members are responsible for raising capital to help those in need. You must have heard वो लोग हर मंथ जमा करते हैं मनी 500 1000. इवन इन सिटीज यू मस्ट हैव अलग अलग नेम है अलग अलग जगहों पे राइट. तो वैसे वैसे कॉपरेटिव्स भी हैं और भी अलग अलग तरह के कॉपरेटिव्स भी हैं. सो दैट इज बेसिकली फॉर रेजिंग द फंड फॉर द people of villages to help the person who are in need. So whenever someone is in need, they'll help them out. These cooperatives will help them out. It mainly protects the weaker section within rural community from exploitation by wealthy individuals and companies so that they are not exploited. Otherwise वो मनी लेंडर्स वगैरह पहले विलेजेस में होते थे वो मतलब 1 रुपए का 10 रुपए लेते थे. सो बेसिकली तो या उन्हें जो गवर्नमेंट वाले गवर्नमेंट के कोई बैंक से लोन लेना है कुछ तो दे डू हैव टू गिव सम सिक्योरिटी. सबके पास तो नहीं होता है टू शो लैंड और घर एनीथिंग. तो फॉर दैट दीज cooperatives are very helpful to them. Otherwise for storing for all purposes like storing of food grains or vegetables and all cold storage and all for that. So there are many purposes these cooperatives are working in the villages. Our rural economy needs faster and more sustainable development to cater to the needs of its population. The cooperative societies have a responsibility to play a constructive role in this area. Now we come to the features. What are the features of cooperative society? And then you can go through the chapters. There are many other things also mentioned. Please go through that. You should know what is cooperative society. My basic purpose in class is to acquaint with you with all the terms so that whenever you read it, it becomes easier for you to understand. The main feature of cooperative societies are voluntary and open membership. People can voluntarily join the cooperatives. It is open. They can leave whenever they want. Whenever they want to join, they can join. It is not. They are not. They bounded by any law or rules. Of course, rules. Every do a system do have rules, but it is not that very that enforced by the law. It is accessible to every member of the rural society. They can join or leave the organization as well their choice. If a member wants to exit the club, they have to give notice before leaving. It does not discriminate on the basis of caste, religion, gender, or creed. Then registration. A cooperative needs to follow a registration process as per law to become a legal entity. not the people, but a cooperative society to be formed, they have to be registered under some legal entity. Anyone can't start the cooperative, and it has to be like NGOs. They are registered, and registered ones are there. There's those who are working in different lines, so they are registered by law. They can enter into contracts or acquire property only after the registration of their society. Land चाहिए होगा, एक जगह चाहिए होगा, तो they can't acquire just like that. They need to have some paper, they need to register, and then the whole process is done. Limited liability, the liability of members is limited to the extent of capital invested by them. It also helps protect their financial interest. So whatever they do invest, the limitations is accordingly. The government supervision, state governments regularly monitor cooperative societies and their activities. So it is under government's supervision. They do this to ensure that the financial interests of its members are protected. So nobody cheated. नहीं तो वो चीट फंड एंड ऑल बहुत आपने सुना होगा, स्टार्ट हुआ था sort of cooperative society only जहाँ पे लोगों के कितने कितने पैसे लेके भाग गए. They were not registered ones. So that's why all these provisions were made. The organization has to maintain proper accounts at all times. Independent auditors check their accounts regularly to ensure that no financial malpractice is taking place. Then next is democratic principles. Any cooperative society has to ensure voting rights for its members. The members elect a managing committee that makes important decisions related to running the organization. Every organization, they do have a chairperson, they do have the head of the society, any society. It is even the society we live in. They do have a chairman who looks after everything. So similarly, these cooperative society, the members elect a member out of them to take the decisions related to the running of the organizations. Cooperative societies and their contribution to the rural economy. The role of corporate, how they contribute. The role of cooperatives in rural development can be very significant and beneficial for the rural economy. Now we'll discuss it. First is how do they help in the development process? By providing credit facilities. They provide credits to the individuals or small businesses in rural areas. Then credit cooperative societies are involved in distributing loans at low rates of interest and flexible repayment terms. It is like gun रख के कि अभी वैसा नहीं है, लाइक अ वेरी फ्लेक्सिबल. जब आपके पास पैसा है तो बहुत जगह ऐसा भी होता है कि अच्छा इस मंथ में कम है तो उतना ही डाल दिया, नेक्स्ट मंथ में इतना डाल दिया, दो अमाउंट इज फिक्स्ड बट समटाइम्स दे डोंट हैव. सो दैट टाइप ऑफ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी इज देयर. The role of cooperatives in rural development is crucial as they protect their members from private money lenders who give loans at very high rate of interest. Credit cooperatives rarely raise large amount of capital due to the limited financial resources of their members, because resources are limited. So that's why they don't lend too big amount. But of course, whenever someone is in need, they do help them. However, they play a vital role in sustaining the viability of both agrarian and non-agrarian occupation in the rural areas. Then second is housing facilities for lower income groups. Housing cooperative societies are there. You must have heard, even in cities also. Like these state level housing cooperatives are there. Though it's not very they do charge a good amount, but in villages, these cooperative societies in rural areas assist their members in getting a place to live. They are primarily involved in helping people from lower income group to get housing facilities at affordable rates. Then help consumer to get affordable products. Several consumer cooperatives, like cooperatives, there are different cooperatives are there. Finance, those who deal with financial assistance, those who deal with housing assistance, those who deal with consumer cooperative societies like rural households to get products, whatever they buy the products at cheaper rates. जैसे वो आपका fertilizers and all का भी cooperatives होता है, seeds के लिए होता है, जहाँ से they get the products at a cheaper rate. They purchase product directly from the manufacturer and sell them to their members below market price, thus removing the involvement of intermediaries. जो बीच में intermediaries होते हैं उसके कारण price बढ़ता जाता है. So those they remove that, and there is a direct relation between these societies and the beneficiaries. Anyone who wants to buy a product at these rates become a member of consumer cooperative societies. Then assist small businesses to stay profitable. Cooperative societies help small scale entrepreneurs procure raw materials at cheaper rates. Again, the same thing, to reduce their cost of production. If they get the raw materials cheaper rates, the small scale industries which runs in the villages like अचार का है या बैग बनाने का हो, बहुत सारे अलग अलग तरह के small scale cottage industries are running. So, to reduce their cost of production, they also provide producers with a platform to sell their product directly to the consumer. So, that platform is also provided by them. Removing intermediaries helps to cut down the selling price to ensure higher sales and profits for producers. It benefits both villagers, those who are the buyers, and those who are the producers. They are producing products at lower rates, and the buyers are getting the products at a lesser amount because the intermediaries are not involved. Share profits among members. Cooperatives were established to serve the economically weaker sections of rural communities. They distribute profits from the operations among their members as a dividend. These earnings are vital for the substances of rural households. So they get like they distribute whatever profit is made by these cooperatives among the members of the society. So the nutshell, there are marketing cooperatives, housing cooperatives. So the marketing cooperatives have been established to fulfill their objectives, to ensure that the producers get. We talked about all this. Remunerative prices for their produce, to increase the retention power of producers by storing the produce in the godams. अदरवाइज सर जाते हैं. आजकल आपने देखा होगा बिना सीजन की भी चीजें मिल रही है. वाई? बिकॉज दे आर स्टोरेज फैसिलिटीज अवेलेबल. गोभी गर्मियों में भी मिलता है, गोभी सर्दियों में भी मिलता है. अदरवाइज अर्लियर गोभी सिर्फ सर्दियों में मिलता था. To stabilize the marketing condition, to regularize the supply of commodities, to eliminate the middlemen and money lenders, to stabilize fair trading practices, and to promote value addition to all products and services. The processing societies mostly promoted by marketing cooperatives are the paddy processing, rice mills, and those for pulses, rubber, cocoa, copra, isabgol, etc. Those who are जहाँ processing work होता है, those societies are there to promote these industries. The important processing cooperatives are sugar cooperative mills, milling mills, and dairy cooperatives, which have not only generated significant employment but are actively involved in promoting social activity and institutions for the welfare of their members also. So it is not only employment generation but other things also they are involved in doing this. So these cooperative societies are the I won't say the backbone, but they are the like these. They are the strong pillar of the for the development of the rural area. So this is all about cooperative society. Why? What is cooperative society? Why it is important? Anything till now? Now we are left with the last topic, that is rural credit. Anything you want to add or anything you want to ask? Okay, we'll move on to rural credit. Now, why rural credit is important? Need for rural credit. There are two angles through which the credit needs of the farmers can be examined: on the basis of time and on the basis of purpose. So, based why rural credit is required? First is the basis of time and basis of purpose. Based on time, there are three categories which for which rural credits is required. That is short-term credit, that credit taken by the farmer for a period of less than 15 months in order to meet their short-term needs. The पर्पस ऑफ शॉर्ट टर्म क्रेडिट इज टू परचेज सीड. जब भी रुपाई का टाइम होता है, सिंचाई का टाइम होता है, दैट time they need short term credits, pay wages to the hired workers, buy fertilizers, etc., and the repayment of such credits can be made out of the farmers current income, which they pay out of their current income after the reaping of the crop and all. They do the payments and all. Then the medium term credit, the credit taken by the farmers from a medium period of 15 months to 5 years, is known as medium term credit. The purpose of medium term credit is for productive activities like purchase of agricultural implement, tractor खरीद लिया या cattle खरीदना, या unproductive activities, expenses on social functions. किसी का शादी ब्याह के लिए भी they do take the credit, loans and all. Then is long-term credit, the credit taken by the farmers for long period of more than 5 years, which can even be extended to 15 to 20 years in order to meet the long-term credit. वो घर के लिए हो सकता है, ट्यूबवेल के लिए हो सकता है, ओल्ड डेट्स को वो करने के लिए, लैंड परचेज ऑफ लार्ज एग्रीकल्चरल इम्प्लीमेंट्स जो होते हैं उनके लिए. तो बिग लोन इज रिक्वायर्ड. So for that, it can be till 20 years. The repayment of such loan is done over a long time period. So this was for on the basis of time, and the second is the basis of purpose. Based on purpose, there are two categories like productive loans, the loans which help the farmers raise agricultural productive and production. For loans taken by farmers to buy seeds, farm, it's like short term only, short term. So it is basis of purpose. And unproductive loans taken for social functions and all. So we can divide, we can give any name to these credit, or either based on time or based on purpose. There are two sources of rural credit from which the farmers can raise loans. They are non-institutional sources, informal, and cash lenders, free agents, landlords, relatives, anyone which is not institutionalized. So these sources accounted for roughly 93% of the full credit score required for the agricultural score for people in 1951. But now it is 30% because of the institutionalized sources are now available. Earlier, institutionalized sources was not there, like banks and all cooperatives were not there to provide them credit facilities. The major non-institutional sources are money lenders, traders and commission agents, loans to agriculturalists for productive reasons before crop maturity, and they compel farmers to sell their harvest at very low rates to them only, charging a very high fee. This form of loan is typically used for cash crops. जूट है और ये सारे जो कैश क्रॉप्स हैं, फॉर दैट रिलेटिव्स इन टाइम ऑफ क्राइसिस, रिलेटिव्स डू दे गिव लोन्स. देन रिच लैंडलॉर्ड्स लाइक इंडिया, पहले तो बहुत सारे देयर वाज डिफरेंशिएशन बिटवीन बिग लैंडलॉर्ड एंड द पुअर फार्मर्स नाउ, सो दे यूज्ड टू गिव लोन. And second is institutionalized sources, formal sources, government, cooperative societies, and rural municipal financial institution, industrial financial institution, and other entities. It accounted for the most efficient 7% of the general credit score required for the start of the main 5-year plans in 1950-51, but it is now due for approximately 70%. 7% था उस समय 50-51 में. अब तो गांव-गांव तक all the facilities are available. Even last village of India, they do have all the facilities. तो 70% तक institutionalized things are available. And some of the institutional sources are cooperative credits. The main goal also free Indian peasants from the clutches. So we talk about cooperative societies. Then land development banks. These institutions lend monies to farmers in exchange for their property. They do have to give security. Loans are available for permanent property improvement, the purchase of farming tools, and repayment of past obligation. Basically, these provide long-term loans, the land developmental banks. Then commercial bank credit, minor part in promoting rural. However, after nationalization in 1969, they extended their rural branches and began directly financing the farmers without security also. Regional rural banks. India, you must have heard the name Grameen banks. They are working in rural areas. India is an agriculturally oriented nation with a large population engaged in the agricultural sector. Thus, in order to utilize this sector and connect Indian farmers with banks in order to facilitate financial transactions, the government of India established regional rural banks (RRB) to play a key role in providing banking facilities to farmers living in remote areas. So you must have heard this name, Grameen banks all over in India. Then National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, NABARD is there. Then self-help groups, HSG Bank Linkage Program for Microfinances, जो small financial. The primary emphasis of SHGs is on the rural poor who lack long-term access to the formal banking system. Those who can't access the formal bank, therefore, the targeted customer of SHGs include small and marginal farmers. They basically work with these farmers, agricultural and non-agricultural workers, artisans, and so on. HSGs encourage thrift in small portion by asking for a minimal contribution from each member. Like corporate, this is cooperative HSG self-help groups, a group of people helping each other. Credit is granted to the needy members at fair interest rate to be returned in small installment from the pooled funds. This is a cooperative, basically self-help group. Name is self-help type of cooperative group which is named as self-help group, which is not registered one, of course. As the banking system expanded rapidly, it affected the rural farm and non-farm output, income, and employment positively. After the Green Revolution, farmer could use credit facilities to avail of different loans in order to meet their production needs. Besides, famines have become an event of the past with the rise in buffer stock. So famine and all took place. It really helped a lot the rural credit system. Everything do have its positive and negative. Similarly, rural credit system has its negatives, that is insufficiency. As compared to the demand for rural credit, its volume in India is still insufficient. There is demand is high and the supply is less. Inadequate coverage of institutional sources. As the institutional credit arrangements have failed to cover the country's farmer, they remain inadequate. So it could not cover large part, and that is one of the problem with the rural credit. Inadequate amount of sanction. Beside credit arrangement, the amount sanctioned by the sources of rural credit is inadequate, because of which the farmers divert the loan for different unproductive purposes. As a result, the basic purpose of such loans gets diluted, बिकॉज द अमाउंट सैंक्शन इज इनएडिक्वेट. अगर किसी को कुछ करना है, 5 लाख की जरूरत है एंड वो 2 ही लाख है, तो उसको क्या करते हैं, वो किसी और चीज में यूज कर लेते हैं. तो जो मेन पर्पस होता है वो उसका डाइल्यूट हो जाता है. the less attention to poor or marginal farmers. They are ignored under this because HSGs help, but otherwise they do have to give security or cooperatives. So only these two institutions help to some extent to the poor and the marginal farmers. Otherwise, the institutionalized banks and all, they are not benefited by the rural credit system. Under the rural banking system, the credit requirements of poor or marginal farmers have been given less attention. It is because the demand for credits by these needy farmers get rejected by banks and other institutional sources as they do not have collateral. However, because of better credit worthiness, well-do farmers get more attention. डर होता है बैंकों को कि वापस नहीं होगा एंड ऑल. Then growing overdues, again one more problem. Overdue is one of the major problem in agricultural credit that keeps on growing. The basic reason behind is that it is the poor capacity of farmers to repay the loan amount. If they are not repaying it, they are paying more and more interest for longer period of time. They are repaying the amount, but they are not able to clear it out. Because of which credit agencies are now becoming more cautious while granting loan to the farmers. It is presumed that the rise in agricultural loan default is because the farmers are refusing to pay back loans. They refuse to pay back loans, and they are also like, what they will do, they don't have that income. They do take the loans and all, but they're not able to pay it back, and they refuse. And many a times you must have heard lots of farmers committing suicide and all. Therefore, this issue has now become a threat to the smooth functioning of the rural banking system and hence needs control. Because of the above stated problem, the expansion and promotion of the rural banking system have been slow after the reforms. The formal institution, except the commercial banks, have failed to develop a culture of lending to needy farmers, deposit mobilization, and effective loan recovery. So, all because of all these problems, rural credit system is not able to expand to that extent to the remote areas and to a larger level, except for the nationalized bank. Others are not able to help the rural people. So all these demerits are there in the rural credit system, and that's why like it is a mixed effect. Both, like some farmers do have they have benefited from it, some are not even touched by the credit system. So it's a mix blessing, you can say. So this is all from my side on all the topics. Anything from your side? Are you all there?